How's it going, everybody? Hey, there's Turbo Tom. Got ASO. Of course, got Crystal. Yep, she's going to be watching and everything. So hopefully everybody's having a good night. There's Joe. How you doing? Appreciate you being here. But right now, tonight is, and there's, of course, ASO, Cool Gamer. Got the No Name Nationals coming up next month. And there's a lot of guys that are, excuse me. Yes, I've got my new mouse pad. I'm using it. I like it. But there's a few guys that are still needing subscribers and everything. So I wanted to get with John to see what we can do as far as getting those guys up there to that 500 mark. So right now he's sitting here getting a little chilly in the basement. So y'all put your hands together and let's bring up John Wilburn.
Howdy. How's it going?
There he is. Oh. Arnie's here. Shaggy.
I just ran in here. I was doing brakes and wheel bearings on the van literally 8 minutes ago and just came in here and put on a clean shirt and sat down.
Yep. And I don't know if you can see or not, but
Bad Attitude C10 Blake.
Yep. This is, got the shirt. Figured, why not? I'm going to wear it tonight. But, so one thing I was talking with, okay. Okay, I'm going to have to do something with Nightbot because it's not.
Yeah, Nightbot's not going to like Dean.
Yeah. I'm still working on trying to get all the bugs and everything worked out on that one. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's why I wanted you up here because you're the main guy running No Name. So tell you what, let me find out some information. How did the No Name Nationals get started?
Well, so like a lot of people, I've had a YouTube account forever, right? I've had a YouTube account since 2006, but I didn't get serious about making content until the COVID thing hit. And like a lot of people, it shut down our human interaction around us to some extent. Okay, some more than others. But, I found there's a lot of great people in the community. And I got to thinking, we got to have some kind of good get together for the people in the community. And, it's just for us, right?
Right.
Because there's a lot of events that are just you sign up and you go and you get a good car count. And people who judge an event on car count don't realize we have a community here. And that's the reason why we have such good conduct and all is because everybody knows each other and they care about each other, right? That's what sets this event apart. Well, I wanted to have something for our community and anybody who wants to be a bona fide part of our community. So I got to pondering on this, and this was in the probably early 2021, like spring of 2021. And I got a kind of rough draft in my mind of what it would be. I'm like, we all like cars. We all like racing, rent a track in the middle of the country and cook out. That was my basic idea, right?
Right.
And I told a few of my YouTube friends what I wanted to do. And like a lot of people, there's all kinds of people say, yeah, we should have a get together. Yeah, we should get together. People say that stuff. And so I could totally understand when people think, well, it sounds good. But I put a few things to it and kind of got to looking at some costs and different things and where and the logistics of this thing. But I told about 10 YouTubers about it, I'm guessing, way back there. And the response was more than what I expected. And it was a serious response. It wasn't a, yeah, that sounds cool, man, and then move on. It was like, yeah, you know what? I have just this much vacation time and it will cost me this much in fuel. And they were saying the kind of things like people who were serious say. So I
Right.
said, you know what? If the response is that good from this group, I think we got a shot at making this work. So, and I knew about where I'd have to scale it up to get it to pay for itself. And we're well past that now, which is good.
Right.
But I reached out to Dallas because I said, you know, we need to figure out um, some of the logistics of making this happen, because you got to have a track, you got to have, you know, your EMTs, your insurance, all that kind of stuff, right? Um, and Dallas has a big head start on that because he's a sanctioning body president, right?
Okay.
Um, and unlike, you know, some
And
sanctioning
that,
bodies,
he's he's the head of what, the
that's right.
AHRA.
He's the
Okay.
president of the AHRA. And
Okay.
unlike some sanctioning bodies that probably would have no interest in such a thing, he actually said, you know, I want to sanction this and make it a national event on our schedule, which cool. That's great. So, you know, he and I each worked on the things that we're better at doing to some extent, and got this thing ready. I said, I want to announce this New Year's Eve of 2021 for last year, right? And
Right.
Dallas had COVID. So our announcement got delayed till January 11th. But I did say on December on New Year's Eve 2021, I said, save the date. Here's the dates, and here's where something's going to be. I said, I'll tell you more on, you know, whenever we went live with Dallas. So I put it out there then. And some people are like, okay, whatever. But then when I went to announce it with Dallas, I had a record number of people in the chat. It was just overwhelming. And the rest is history. People have been signing up and enthusiastic ever since. And of course, the first year you do something, it's on you to deliver, right?
Right.
Um, you know, Dallas and I talked about the 500 sub requirement, which this thing's taken a life of its own. We've even had a troll, you know, bashing the 500 sub requirement thing. Look, the whole point is that we want people to engage with the community,
Right.
right? We want it to be about our community, and we are YouTube content creators. And
Right.
anyone who wants to put in a little bit of effort will get 500 subs. It'll happen, right? I mean, I've seen people get 500 subs off of one short, but the idea is that if you are putting out your vehicle, your channel, hey, you know, I'm Mater's Workshop. This is what I'm working on. This is where I am. People start to get invested in what you do and who you are. And by the time you get to the event, everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows your vehicle. They want to
Yeah.
see you. People are more accountable to one another. Like there wasn't one piece of trash left on the grounds after last year. Not one, because nobody wanted to be bad neighbors to anybody else.
Right.
Ron Ward has been to thousands of drag races, and he said no one complained. Nobody came up to the tower complaining. There were no arguments, nothing. And so just that engagement in the community is been a big part of it,
Right.
and probably the most misunderstood part of it. But the people who get it, they're like they totally get it. But it's been great. And so this year we've seen people bringing faster cars. We're seeing the good natured bounty on our friend Just Mopar Joe. We're seeing people bringing different cars, bringing their families, you know. So I really like where it's going. And it's taken a few years to get here, but I love it. It's my one chance a year. I knew I would never live long enough to go all over the country to visit all of my YouTube friends.
Right.
I
So
could visit
tell me,
one channel a year and never live long enough. But this way, I can do it.
so how did you come up with going to Sykeston as far as having where the location was going to be? Because I mean, from where I'm at, I've got about a dozen or so drag strips around me, both quarter and eighth mile, and that's just here in North Texas. Okay. So, I mean, I know that you were probably looking for something that would be centrally located.
Mhm.
So, how did what was the main factor for Sykeston?
Well, for one, we're already familiar with the track because it was AHRA sanctioned. And in a
Okay.
funny plot twist, Larry Jeffers, who owns the track, it's his personal track, and he's a chassis builder. He builds pro mods. He bought the IHRA. Okay. So, of course, Jeffers is IHRA sanctioned now because the owner of the IHRA owns the track. It's like it's a bizarre thing that coincidence that couldn't happen in 100 years, right? However, that said, they welcomed us back no problem this year. So, it might be highly unusual to have an AHRA event in an IHRA track, but it's no problem. I mean, we were good last year. We're good this year. And so we're back. Now, picking the track also had several components. It's got to be centrally located.
Right.
It is a little closer to the east than it is to the center or the west, but there's also a lot more population in the east. Jeffers, it's 22 acres. I really preferred an 1/8 mile track because there are some people that just say, oh, quarter mile or nothing. But the fact is that the world is going to 1/8 mile. Your pro mods are running 1/8 mile. You can run more radical cars in the 1/8 mile if you want. 1/8 mile is what I really like about it is it keeps the pits from getting too spread out. You want the pits to be no bigger than your spectators can just roam the whole thing and see anybody they want to. And like, for instance, if they're at one end of the pits and one of their favorite channels goes down the track, but they're pitted at the other, they're like, oh, hey, let's just say Blake from Bad Tree Productions he just made a great pass. I want to go talk to him. Well, 500 feet later, they can be at Blake's pit, right? So I think that to keep the pits and all from getting, the pits primarily much more so than the track, keeping the pits from getting too big makes for a better event. I would rather have a track that's a hair too small than too large for that reason. It's an event thing more than a racing thing. The other thing too is that, we don't have cars running, 8s, and we do have some, but most of our cars aren't running in the 8s and 9s in the quarter mile. And when you have relatively slower cars, 1/8 mile makes the event move a lot better. It's safer. You don't hit as high terminal speeds. There's a lot of good reasons to keep it at an 1/8 mile track. I think it works great. Jeffers has shower houses. The pits are flat, which is wonderful. If you've seen tracks like KD, you've seen tracks like Shady Side Dragway, Motor Mile, the pits are really steep and terraced. I think it works a lot better when you have nice flat pits, and Jeffers offers that. There's a lot of reasons that it works good to have it there. Lambert,
is it paved or is it like grass or what? I mean,
well, both. You have a lot of paved pits, okay, but you also have plenty of grass. And because a lot of people like to come and camp, the grass is attractive for them. And then there's a lot of people who, they have their enclosed and they're set up and they want to be on pavement. So it actually works out great. They have a lot of paved pits, but they also have plenty of grass for people that prefer that.
Right. Yes, Noni, that's the track that we're talking about.
Yeah, the Sykeston Drag Strip. Larry Jeffers bought it, and the official name is Jeffers Motorsports Park, but it is the old Sykeston Drag Strip built in 1969.
Wow, it's been around that long?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Sure has. Been some huge names run there.
That I did not know had been around that long.
Sure.
That's an old track then.
It is.
Now, what's the surface of the track? Is it like asphalt or is it concrete or a combination?
It's combination. It's got a long length of concrete though. You have a lot of concrete. It's a good track.
Is it?
Oh yeah. They run pro mods there. Larry Jeffers builds pro mods. Kai Kelly was testing there when Dallas and I went down there one time before the event last year. I mean,
wow.
They run fast stuff there. 1,300 feet of shutdown.
That's quarter mile shutdown right there. And I know that like on your the Top Fuel and Funny cars, that they're not even running quarter mile anymore. They've actually shut it down to 1,000 feet. That way they've got that extra, distance for being able to shut the cars down for safety reasons.
I just read where a new 330-foot drag strip opened, I think in California. There are events going on, and I think it's called Mountain Motor Complex in Kentucky. It's 330. There's a 300-foot drag strip just north of me up in West Virginia. The 1/8 mile drag strip, the shorter tracks, that's where the world is going to. I like quarter mile racing. I really do. But the 8th mile is where it's going for lots of reasons.
All right. Still having problems with my Nightbot. Yeah, and I see what's going on. Just let everybody know, if you type in all caps, that's what's going on with Nightbot. Sorry about that. Oh, did I?
You hit Tim. You can unhide him.
There. Sorry, but I was clicking on the Nightbot, and I guess the chat and everything scrolled right as I clicked and didn't realize it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you can turn it off, as Tony says. I have it turned off.
Right. So, yeah, of course. Hey, Tony, speaking of the devil, the other person I'm waiting on to get in here. So, I mean, what were the requirements? I mean, how did you come up with everything as far as what the requirements were to be a participant in the racing, for say for last year?
So there's all kinds of ways that you could do it. But the thing about, we just said 500 subs, a very modest amount of subscribers that anybody who engages and makes content is going to get, right? Very few people who are making regular content down the stretch are going to struggle with that. But the thing is it's something that's public. You can see it. The guys have a race to 500. It was super competitive last year. And it was great. It was a good source of camaraderie. People had a great time with it. And that's kind of a mark that shows that people are engaging the community. And when they get to 500 subs, they build an audience too. And it's exciting. It's exciting when you've done jobs and work in your garage and no one was there to see it but you. It's a different world when you start putting it on YouTube, and 95% of the people enjoy what you do and they think it's cool, and you get to share it with them.
Oh yeah. And for me,
yeah.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, that's what we picked. Are there other metrics that might be better? Probably so. I mean, I fully understand that, subscriber count is not the perfect metric. I get that, but it's public. And when you make content and you engage in the community, subscribers do come. So it's a way that everybody else can follow your journey.
Right.
It's very objective like that and easy.
Okay. I got to get in and get that figured out.
Stop spamming caps.
Yeah. Like, I thought I had it taken care of. Now, what's really weird is after I got it all set up, Nightbot didn't even show up. And then now I got Nightbot wanting to come in. And it's like, really?
Nightbot will be in your YouTube settings. He won't be in StreamYard.
Yeah, I know. That's where I'm going to right now. No.
It might just be approve all comments or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you get Nightbot. He's not on my channel.
I've got it. There it is. Okay. Nightbot is taking out. I had to go in and take him out as a moderator. That was a problem.
I think I set my stuff up before Nightbot was a thing.
Right. So, okay, that should take care of that, guys. I apologize. I was still trying to get Nightbot and everything set up on the computer, and I need someone that knows all about it to come in and help me, and I hadn't got there yet. All right. So we got someone else that's getting a little frozen in the basement. Let's bring up Tony. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Mayor.
But of course, I know you know more about the no name than I do because I just found out about it earlier this year and everything. And that's only because I got in with, I guess you could say, I got in with the no name national crowd. Okay. And that's, like I said, that's how I found out about it. And unfortunately, like I said, for me, I would love to be able to go. But like I said, with me not having a job since the middle of October, funds are difficult. Now, I did have someone say, hey, we'd love to be able to raise the funds and everything for you to go. How much would it cost? And I was doing the math and I said it cost around $500 for fuel, hotel room, food, and be able to get into the events. They go, that's not bad. That's pretty, pretty reasonable. Of course, that mind you got to consider that's me taking my motorcycle, riding all the way up here from North Texas all the way up there, which it can be done in a day. No big deal. The only thing is, with everything I've got going on, some of the equipment that I want to get, I'm going, yeah, I could take the pictures, get the content and everything from No Name. But if I took that same amount of money, there's tools and everything I could get for in the garage that would last a lot longer and probably make me money. So it's like, yeah, it's one of these, like one hand or the other. But I'm hoping that I do get a job soon that next year, since I do have enough subscribers, I can make No Name say next year.
You've got
That's
the
gonna,
subs.
that's gonna be my goal for No Name 2024.
You've already got the subs, Mayor.
I've got the subs and everything, and for some reason, I had some earlier and then dropped down about 2. I don't know why.
It does that.
Yeah, YouTube keep getting them and then I keep dropping them. Don't know why. But I mean,
you mentioned something I'll touch on when you said a goal, right? A goal has to have two things that separate it from a dream, right?
right.
Dreaming is great, all right? But as you see here, doing is greater than dreaming. I kind of put that up there for a reason because for a dream to become a goal, it has to have a time frame and an action plan.
Right.
So the action plan, yeah, this community is awesome. They'll help you with your action plan. They'll help you with parts. They'll help you plan. I mean, I've never seen a community more willing to help their fellow man than this one. But the other thing is a time frame. And that's the thing that we give you with this, right? So the cool thing is that by having a common deadline, right, you already have half of what you need for a goal.
Right.
And I got to tell you, it's a bigger thing than people realize. There are cars that may have not been happening for 10 years that now have happened in 1 year or maybe 2 because we're all sharing the same time goal. It's a common goal and we're all doing it together, and it's really cool.
Hey, let me butt in for a second, Mater.
Okay.
Open your Nightbot settings on the Nightbot itself and go to spam protection.
Okay, because I went in and I took Nightbot out as a moderator. Because that's where it's supposed to be at in my settings.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the YouTube. You want to be on the actual Nightbot dashboard, nightbot.tv.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
go right on. Yeah, don't leave him a moderator on YouTube. That's how it works on your channel. You don't have to change nothing on YouTube. You make all those settings on the actual Nightbot platform.
Okay, well, I already took him out as a moderator.
Well, he's obviously still a moderator. He thinks he is, or YouTube thinks he is, because he's yelling at Buck for doing emotes.
Okay, so I'm on the Nightbot dashboard.
Yeah, and on your left, you're gonna see, you know, dashboard comments, giveaways, yada yada yada. And about middle of the way down, you'll see spam protection.
Okay.
And when you click on that, you're gonna see blacklisted words and phrases, excess caps. That's the one that was yelling at Tim about. Disable that one.
Okay. Well, it's disabled. Oh, hang on.
Okay.
Okay, I got it disabled. Okay.
Okay, and same thing with the excess emotes. That's what it was just bitching at Buck about was the excess emotes, you know, because the smiley faces and shit. Disable those,
Okay, I've got those.
and it'll stop yelling at people. I actually had the damn Nightbot. The first night I used it, I was going through the same junk you are. That thing booted Tim Windsor. I was madder than hell. How do you boot Tim Windsor? I was pissed. And I quickly learned how to put a leash on the Nightbot. And that's basically all I use it for is like the giveaway stuff. And, you know, because it has a lot of really cool features. You know, you can get it to put up links and, you know, and stuff like that. But the spam protection is a little bit overbearing. If I'm being honest, I have every single one of them disabled on the spam protection because I have ASO as a moderator. I've got some really good moderators that you actually use human eyes to deal with spam. So I don't need a bot for that.
All right. So onto the spam protection, I've got all of them disabled then.
Yep. You're in good shape. It'll stop yelling at people.
All right. I appreciate it. See, that right there is something that I could use because someone knows about it that I don't. And that's something I appreciate.
Right.
And that's where I could use the help as far as trying to get it set up.
And that's exactly what we're all here for. That's what this entire community is here for, is helping each other out. If I know something you don't, maybe tomorrow you'll know something I don't. You know?
I know that Turbo Tom is in the chat. What I'm gonna do is
I think Turbo Tom still needs subs. He's got such a cool channel. We need to get him some subs because I want to see that Model A at No Name Nationals.
Right. And see, that's the reason I'm doing this tonight. That way we can get the guys that need those subs. See if we can't get them up there. Now, I know that Buck's been doing it for a while because, you know, when he does his live on Saturday evening, he's bringing up John's channel and everything and showing everybody that needs subs.
Yeah. No, Buck's been doing that for both years now of the No Name Nationals. He's been an instrumental part of the No Name 500.
Right. But here's the thing. I don't think, is there anybody else doing that besides Buck?
The thing is Buck does it really well. And we were reviewing channels early on, but here's the thing. We saw Buck and Bear Rose and a few people were doing channel reviews, but Buck has emerged as the channel review guy, right?
Yeah.
And that's great. And he's really good at it. So I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I just want to support him in doing that. Right.
Now, I will say this for everybody that watched Buck's live this last Friday. It was his last one till after No Name.
Okay. Tom, what I want you to do, I've got my email address up there at the top. If you will be so kind as to send me an email, and I will email you the link. That way you can be able to come up here and talk about your channel. That way we can see about getting you some subs because, yeah, you're 90 subs away. And like John was saying, there's not that much time left. But it's in a doable time frame. And I mean, like I said, I would love to be able to
It is
go.
doable.
Right. It is doable. I mean, anybody.
Very doable.
Right. If you know, kind of like what John was saying earlier, his fact is he's seen people have, get 1,000 subs in what, a week? And I mean,
You can do the 500. You can get to 500 now easily.
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One stinking video, if it's the right video and the right timing, he could run past 1,000 before knowing.
So realize. I think some people get wrapped around the axle about this whole 500 sub thing, but the only people who do, well, with the exception of one, the only people who do are the people who have spent years getting a couple hundred subs, but that's because they've never, gone after it, right? People who've gone after it, like, oh wow, it's like I spent 3 years getting 50 subs, and yet when I actually applied myself, I got 100 subs in one day. And so it's not a big barrier people think. And last year we were saying, well, you know what? We may raise it to 1,000 next year. We didn't care about the sub number. What we cared about was not letting people say one of these years. That is a toxic, dream-killing thing. So last year we went all in and telling people, this is the year, this is the day, and don't get into this thing and saying, well, I'll make it one of these years, because if we don't make the first year successful, there won't be a second. And so that was the whole idea. Don't say, well, if I get half the subs this year, we wanted people to think there's a good chance it'll go up. And it always could, but we don't care about that. What we care about is community engagement. And, and it worked. It worked. And that's the whole idea. That's the whole point.
And for me, I was saying, that Buck, I know he's been doing it. He's got his, audience that he brings in, through the no name. Was for me, I can bring in audience from a different area, because consider the fact that I grew up my channel in the tool community, small engines, got Crystal in for the yarn community, and then I've got the coin community, and believe it or not, camping and stuff like that. So that's why
it's all pissed off, John.
Yeah, I don't know what keeps doing that. There's something that just keeps fucking. Give me a second. I'm gonna investigate it.
It's something USB. It's what
give
that
me
noise
a second.
is.
It is. It is. I'm gonna check them real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. But that's what for me, it's like I'd like to be able to get the people that are on my channel that I come in and see me, get them informed of it, and that way get the support over onto that area as far as dealing with a no name. And I know for a fact, I'm surprised that 6% hadn't showed up yet, because I know he's been working very hard on the Chambler. It's like 30 episodes so far on that thing.
6% Recycle is registered.
Right.
He's registered. He's punched his ticket.
Right. And like I said, I've been watching basically from day one of when he got that vehicle and everything. And it's like, man, I can't believe all the stuff that he's found, especially with all the aluminum rivets that basically was about the only thing holding the body to the frame. And it's like, wow.
One big thing that people can do to try to help people move along, I think it'd be such a big deal. People in the community need to leave comments for these content creators and remind them, hey man, are you coming to No Name Nationals? I'd love to meet you. I hope to meet you there. And I think that reminding them like that your viewers want to see you there is a big deal.
Right.
Your viewers,
Right.
your fellow content creators, because there's a lot that we try to do to help them, but they need that from the other side. Because I got to tell you, I mean, I don't make any money from this. I'm not worried about making any money from this at all. I want it to pay for itself. That's really all I care about. But when I ask, because there is a registration fee, because, you know, track isn't free, PJ1 isn't free, the medics don't work for free, the water barriers aren't free, the light plants aren't free, all that stuff isn't free. So we got to charge something, but it's very modest. But if you do that, you're like, people will say, oh, it's about the money. It's not the money at all. But when it comes from your viewers saying, hey, I really want to see you at No Name Nationals, that's what makes an impression on channels to say, hey, maybe I should go. I've got 10 people who want to see me there.
Right.
That goes a long way. I can tell you right now, Backmotor Mike's got around 250 subs. I'd love to see him there. Backmotor Mike desperately needs to make a video of himself, get somebody else to shoot it, and film him. Hey, I don't even know what the guy looks like. I've never seen him on video. I'm Backmotor Mike. This is my funny car. You know, it's 540 Chevy, Corvair body. They would go so far. People would say, yeah, I want to follow that. But the thing is, it needs to come from his viewers.
Hey, Mater.
Yeah.
Just throw the link up in the chat for a minute, and then after Tom gets it, delete it if you don't want to leave it up. He's having email issues. Yeah, if you don't want to leave it up, don't. But you can just go back and delete the link. But that way he can grab it real fast.
Okay. And Tom, just make sure you get your camera on.
He's been on lives before.
Right.
Turbo Tom is only 90 away.
Oh, yeah. He's got this. He can do this. Hell, he can beg them 90 at the gate.
But
guys did it last year with success.
Yeah. You know, and that's the one thing that, you know, I've heard about is all the different classes, including the monkey bike. I mean, that would be something fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's something for everybody, really. I mean, if you just want to come and just show your car, you can do that. That's fine. I mean, if you want to come just for the cruise in the movie, that's fine too. If you want to drag race, bracket race, heads up, burnout, I mean, there's a little something for everyone. And so last year, when you registered, you used to have to select what you were registering for. But what I figured out from last year was it's not really how it works. It's really, you just register the person. And then whatever they show up with is whatever they show up with. And I've got a pretty good gauge on it now that I know there's always going to be enough people who want to run the bracket. There's always going to be a bunch of people who want to run heads up. There's always going to be a bunch of people who want to do call outs. There's always going to be people who want to do the burnout. So I don't have to worry about making sure that each class, so to speak, is viable, because they are.
Right.
What I got to be careful of is splitting classes or adding classes. And what I really want to do, I really want to have enough healthy heads up cars. Cars run low. I'm thinking like a 6.0. If we had enough cars running 6.0 in the 8th, I think that would be really cool to split that class.
Right.
And have a class like where you run a quick 8 with all the really fast hammers in it, the 5.5 second stuff. And then you have another class with a quick 16 of guys that are running low 6s with street cars. That would be ideal to me. But we're just not quite there yet with car count. But I'm not stressing it. I just want as many people that want to come to the event to come and hang out with us as possible.
Right. Now, I know that, you know, when I was drag racing myself years ago, and there he is.
Yeah.
There he is. So
Turbo Tom.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you good.
That's good.
Appreciate you being
Turbo
here.
Tom?
Doing just fine, but working my butt off at work.
Cool, man.
But what I was going to say is that I know that I don't know if you're familiar with the Texas Muscle Car Club Challenge. It's supposed to be the largest car club versus car club racing event in the United States. And I was at one time part of the Dallas Mopar Club. And we were also the host club for the Autorama that came in every year.
Cool.
But I mean, we would go in to tracks. I mean, we had, of course, the Texas Motorplex. We would run out at Kennedale. We would run at least twice a year at Kennedale, twice at the Motorplex. We had Denton. We would have Hallsville. We actually went up to Oklahoma. I'm trying to remember the name of that one. Blake and I were talking about that the other night on Tony's. I mean, we had drag strips all over the place. Some of them have shut down, but I mean, it was fun doing that. Now, we would, if we won, we got a jacket with our name and everything on the award. So, what do you get for winning, say, no name?
Well, it depends what you win. So obviously we have trophies for winners. The bracket is a $500 payout. The 28-10-5 is a $100 bill to enter, but it pays more. It's $1,500 to win, $500 to runner up. Burnout competition pays $500 to win. Monkey bike pays $100 to win. And that doesn't count. There's also bounties and stuff you can win. Like, I mean, there's up to $420 a bounty to beat Just Mopar Joe in the bracket. So wow. There's a little bit of cash out there for winners.
All right. Well, see, that's something that I didn't know. And like I said, I'm just asking all this because I haven't been, and I'm just trying to get all the information. Because I know that the people that went last year, the ones that have gone this year, they already know all that.
Well, another thing too is this is about having fun.
And y'all are gonna have to pardon me because I got my dinner phone me.
I see people who go to the track and they're miserable, right? They go, the car's not running, they're not running their numbers, they load up and they leave in the first round. I'm like, what in the world is that? This is supposed to be fun, and we go and we have fun. So our trophies reflect that. Like our burnout competition trophy is going to be, and Dallas has it now, but it's like a clear urethane with shredded up pieces of the burnout competition winner's tire, right? The worst oil down. So whoever is unlucky enough to win the worst oil down and just scatter an engine or transmission or something, that's going to be a connecting rod and piston out of Big Block 402's engine because he's the one that won it last year. He fragged the 402 and sent a rod through the block at half track, and I got a rod and piston from it, and that's going to be the top of the trophy. The Star Traveler for whoever hauls here from the longest distance or drives here with their competition car from the longest distance. It's fun to have awards like that. The Low ET Award, right? Actually has the character ET on the trophy. I mean, we have fun with the awards because it's supposed to be fun.
Oh yeah, and that's the way racing is supposed to be. It's supposed to be having fun. Yeah, there's supposed to be the competition, but it's like, hey, oh, you're something's wrong with your car. What do you need? Can I help get it fixed? And everything. Yeah. It's just like, when I was dirt track racing, I had a problem during a race one night, and all of a sudden, this lady's father comes over to my pits and everything, and wanting to accuse me of, purposely hitting her. And all I know is I remember that there were a lot of modified and late model drivers that must have had flat tires because they're all coming over to see what's going on. They got their tire wrenches in their hand. Like they got a tire they got changed in the car.
Yeah. There were
And-
guys who got their car running in the pits for the first time, like a Buff's Garage, a Cement Surfer. They got their cars running for the first time in the pits.
Wow.
I know that Perpetual Projects and Square Body Stuff broke 3 drive shafts between the 2 of them. And Square Body Stuff, they made a drive shaft for that truck in the pits because we do have welder, generator, tire changer. We got guys bringing in equipment to where we really do have a nice little fab shop in the pits for anyone who needs it.
Right.
And, Square Body still made the burnout competition. I mean, after throwing a drive shaft. We do see an enormous amount of cooperation to help people at that event, and that's the way it should be. It's great. We had a chip draw for the 28-10-5 heads up class, and Roland, who was the overall winner, who was frankly a sitting duck in 28-10-5 because there's a lot of really fast cars in that Saturday heads up class. Roland was so kind that even though he drew the buy run in 28-10-5, the guy who probably needed that about as much as anyone, he was willing to give it up to Sam from White Trash Motorsports because Sam was unable to make the driver's meeting. He couldn't physically make the driver's meeting. So Roland gave him his spot, and of course, Sam blistered him because that's a fast cutlass Sam has. But that shows you the kind of people we have.
Right.
And Roland was running really close for the overall too, and still took that chance. That's a good sportsman that'll do something like that. That's the kind of people we want at the No Name Nationals.
All right. Now, since we got Tom on here, I was going to say, Tom, you want to let everybody know that, hasn't heard about your cart you want to run there?
Well, I really don't plan on running a lot of classes because it's a 1916 Model T. That was my great grandfather's. So, and I was just at his gravesite yesterday, so
Okay.
I didn't see any dirt mounting up about him rolling over, so it must be okay. But I'm just basically going to be there just so I can see Travis there. Last year, Travis didn't have his vehicle there. Two Hacks didn't have his there. I want to see him. I followed along, watched them build, watched them change them. I want to see him.
Yeah. Right. And
I mean, there's a bunch of people that want to know how to drive a Model T too, because how often do you get to do that?
So we have.
Are you going to drive the Lamberts and the Cruise with it?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's fantastic! I am so excited about this Model T. I just think it's so freaking cool. I love it.
There's 2 cool factors here. It's a 1916 Model T, and it's a family heirloom.
Yes.
I'm assuming your great granddad bought it brand new.
Yes, he did.
That's so cool.
Where else do you get to see this?
107 years a car has stayed in the family.
There are more.
That story.
If you
Get
if you actually watch the Model T tours, there are more. A lot more.
Man. Well, there's never going to be any more, though. I mean, however many there are now is how many there are. So that is really, really cool.
But the parts are all still there that you can do it if you want to.
It's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
And let's face it, for what it's worth, 2/3 of the ones ever produced have been turned into hot rods.
Yeah.
They're not stock anymore. There are small clubs. We have a club, a Model A club local here in Arizona too, and there's a handful of original or restored original Model A's, but you just don't see them like you do, the hot rods. It's super cool.
So my question on something like that is, where do you get, say, engine parts for it? Considering the fact that, that engine was made by the Dodge brothers. And that's something a lot of people don't realize.
They're still available. They're still available.
Man.
Go online. There's warehouses in New Jersey, Cleveland, all over the place with just Model T parts.
That's incredible.
And just like Model A parts, there's warehouses just Model A's.
Wow.
Yeah, there is still enough interest in keeping them original that the parts availability remains.
Because I remember J.C. Whitney used to get their catalog all the time. And you could go in there and it was the Model T or Volkswagen Bug. You could basically buy everything to build one totally from scratch. And it's like, I'm going, I can buy, the frame, wheels, everything to build one of these cars from scratch. I'm
Now,
going, that is,
all my videos I did, I'm only in one of them because my son did the videoing. Well, I'm in a short also when I'm polishing the hubcaps. But how to start the Model T, I show you how to start it. I show you what the pedals do.
That's so cool.
So
That is.
and that's the weird thing about it is there's a certain sequence you have to go through in order to even get the thing started. It's not like nowadays you get in the car, put your key in it, and turn it, and you're going. It's like you got to set the spark, and there's about 5
Set the
different
fuel.
things you have to do.
Tom,
you
where
got
do
the
you
spark,
where
you
do
got the
set
fuel.
where do you set your spark when you start one?
You want it up about, or it's right top dead center, or a little bit before. Not much, because it'll break your arm if you're too much before.
Okay.
I mean, you can have it run after top dead center, but it has no power.
But just to start it so it
they're-
doesn't kick back.
Usually the ear just comes down just, a little bit. You have all the way up, which is your after top dead center. You move it down to where you're about top dead center, or more power, which is before top dead center, your spark advance.
That's
You
so
pull it all the way down. So cruising down the highway, you got both ears all the way down. That's your max speed. That's your cruise control. All pedals up and both ears down. That's your fastest you're going to go.
love it. And what do you top out with? What's your top speed?
I've seen 45
Okay, yeah, cool.
Oh.
That's great.
That
on
is.
on a wooden wheel.
That is not bad.
The greatest.
Consider the fact, how old that vehicle is, what the roads were like back then is basically what road. It was a dirt path you were going down.
But it loves dirt roads.
Right.
It'll go straighter down a dirt road than it will a highway.
Right. But I mean, getting that kind of speed out of a car made from back then, that was lightning fast.
Well, it's 20 horsepower
Right.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I mean,
with 31-inch wheels.
right. But like I'm saying, that kind of speed out of that, small of an engine with that small amount of horsepower, like I said, back then, it's like everybody was going, man, you're moving at that speed. And now, I mean, like today, it'd be like trying to get a stock car doing 250 miles an hour, going down the highway. That's basically, the way I look at it is you take one now and going that fast is like yours back then doing 45.
The Model T is what got America driving. Just like the Volkswagen Beetle is the same thing in Germany. That's the car that got the masses driving. And that cannot be understated how big a deal that was for our culture.
Yep.
The Model T is really special for that reason. It transcends anything about brand or anything.
Right.
But it's just like a brand new car. It has one coil for each cylinder.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is, Henry Ford said, you can have in any color you want, just as long as it's black.
Black.
Yep. And if you see them different colors, that's because somebody else had painted them.
Right. And that means it's not the original paint.
Hey, the Model T has some advantages passing tech. It's not required to have a battery hold down, for example. I mean, there are some advantages.
You can put a battery in it, though. There is a
right,
place.
but if you don't
There
have
is
a
a
battery,
place
you don't
for
need a
it.
battery hold down. I love
And,
it.
and the thing about it is there's no trunk to store anything in. Now let you mount one on
That's
there.
what the. No, there's a truck bed on the back of this one. Because back in
Okay.
26, when my great grandfather bought his new one, he took the back seat off and put a truck bed on so he could go back in the woods and get firewood.
Too, that, what was I going to say? The, flew out of my head. Shoot. I don't know. Well, I derailed my own train of thought. I was thinking about that truck bed. That is really cool. I know what I was going to say. It's like trunks. Where did the term trunk come from for a car? It's because they literally used to put like steamer trunks on cars.
Yep.
And I think it's neat to look back at this really ancient automotive history and see where we got so many of these things. Well, like for example, I was chatting with John Cope today about the Simpson planetaries that Chrysler used in their transmission, and how Ford copied that design. And these companies have copied each other's designs and so forth and so on, and where this came from or that came from, and how we got from 100 makes of cars down to the big three. This is all just fascinating stuff. And when you look at a Model T, you got to realize how many things that car was there before and has survived through. And to see one 107 years old that has lived through the end of World War I, World War II, Vietnam, hash for clunkers, the Iraq War, without ever getting scrapped is amazing on its face, right?
I forgot Korean.
All of that is just, to me, is really cool. And so when you look at all the history that car has made it through, and now it comes to an event like this, that's just too cool for anything to me. What car is that?
Well, the third week in July, he was in Wisconsin driving around all week. So he went over 1,000 miles that week.
Wow.
And the new bearings were poured in May, so it's got new bearings poured in. So I shouldn't have to take out any shims.
How do you pour your bearings in? I just, if you have a video on that, I haven't yet seen it, but that is really cool to me.
I'm never there when it's being done. They normally do it at a club meeting.
Right. And that's the thing about with some of the maintenance and everything on those cars is like it's not even done to this day. I mean, like on that one, you don't have a key that you can turn to start it because there's no electric start on there. You have to get out there and hand crank it, correct?
There's still a key though.
Right.
So it doesn't keep running because it's got a mag. Right. It's got a mag on it.
Right, but you have to physically get out there in front of the car and hand crank start it.
But there is a place on the bell housing that you can put a starter.
Okay.
So it was an option. Just like a water pump, it was an option. You don't need the option, but it is an option.
Now,
I've seen these with 4-wheel disc brakes on them. People have modified them to put 4-wheel disc brakes on them.
Now, what were the original brakes on it then?
It's a drum. It's a band around the transmission in the middle. Yeah, the middle clutch in the middle. It just locks that down. and then you had band brakes on the back drums for your parking brake.
Wow.
You know,
Here's
you
first responder with the answer about foreign bearings.
okay.
Yeah, you just
That
stack all
is
your shims in.
Smart dude right there.
Stack all your shims in there and pour it around it. You fill the hole.
I mean, that's the thing about with those cars from back then, that if you were to try and teach someone this day and age about it, they'd be going, I don't get it. It would totally, their mind would be nuclear because it would just get totally blown away by it. Because technology
Okay.
is not.
The Model T is the only car you can truly do a tune up, because that's the sound the coils make, is the tune. Henry Ford came up with that. That was the name of it. He called it a tune up because it's a sound they made. If it's too deep, you don't have enough, you got to tighten down the screw a little bit. And if it's too high of a pitch, you got to loosen up the screw a little bit.
Now, he originally had those to run on alcohol. So when did, so does the vehicle run better on the grain alcohol or gasoline?
Gasoline, because the
Does it?
alcohol evaporates too quick.
Okay.
Well, here's a Model T question. So the compression on these things is about what, 4-to-1, something like that.
If you're lucky, yeah.
Okay. So this is the early days of gasoline itself. Now, obviously, today we can put in them whatever we want, but what was gasoline situation like in 1916?
Well, it
I
had
mean-
lead in it, lots of lead. So it was lubricating everything.
Yep.
As it was going through. So, and your octane level was probably higher than what we have now. So you were probably what 101, 110 octane wise.
Okay. Man, that's amazing. You had 4-to-1 compression and 100 and some octane. Now we're trying to get 11-to-1 to run on 93.
Now, I was going to say, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is, you know, you go to a gas station in your car and you got to get unleaded gasoline. But there's a lot of people don't realize they're still making leaded gasoline for vehicles right now. And you can get it where it's like 103, 104 octane.
And it's very expensive.
We have it right
and
at our station uptown, so it's local.
Right, but it's not anything, you know, it's not considered racing fuel. It's aviation gas.
I've heard the chemistry of that's different, though.
Well, the reason behind that is kind of like what Tom was saying. The lead acts as a lubrication.
Yep.
Okay. The reason that we got the EPA decided to get rid of the leaded gasoline is because of lead being an actual poison. Okay. Considering the fact that there's more cars driven on the road than there are airplanes in the sky. So the pollution from the cars and everything, that's putting all that lead and everything out there. But the FAA, they said, no, we need that lubrication in these engines because they are all air cooled. And they have strict regulations on how those engines are even put together. So you can actually go out to your local airport and you can buy what's it called avgas, You can get up to 110 octane. It's got lead in it.
Yeah, most modern avgas is 100 octane low lead, is what they refer to it as in the last decade or so. But yeah, I used to buy 110 octane green from the local airport.
Yep.
30 years ago.
Yeah. And that's when they were phasing out the leaded gas. And like I said, right now for me, I remember going down to my local when I was doing dirt track racing back in the mid 80s. I remember going down to a parts house and I got the purple 102 leaded racing fuel.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I've got a 5-gallon container of VP 110 leaded out in the garage. You want to know what I paid for it a month ago? $107.
for how big?
For 5 gallons of VP 110 leaded.
Wow.
That's over $20 a gallon. Yeah, it's insane. And they do it that way because the government doesn't want you to have it.
Right.
And the 100 octane low lead thing, that was the FAA's compromise.
No.
To your story was where they were trying to completely phase it out, and that was where they came to the compromise. And the modern aircraft is designed to run on it.
Right. Well, like I said, they need that, lubrication for those engines because most of your, airplane engines, from what I understand, they're either an opposed 4 or an opposed 6-cylinder. Unless you're, or radial. But the radial engines are going to be for your bigger airplanes. But as far as Joe Blow going out to his local airport and everything, and getting in, say, his Piper Cub airplane, that's going to be like an opposed 4-cylinder.
Right.
And with those engines, they need that extra lubrication because they're how many thousands of feet up in the air, and you don't want that engine seizing up.
Nope.
Especially, if you're running, say running low on oil, something like that, where you've got that extra lubrication from the lead itself.
Yeah, there's a funny thing about an airplane. You can't just pull over on the side of the road when it quits running.
Yeah. Like, there's a cloud over there. I'm going to pull over and park on it, and I'll get out and check the underneath the hood.
That ain't happening.
That don't work.
But there's the other thing. You were talking about buying gas at the local airports. I used to do that a lot. We actually have an airport, a small airport. It's not even 10 miles from the house here. They will not sell you avgas unless you have an airplane and can prove it.
Right. There's a lot of
that's just chicken in my book, but
right.
Crap the world's coming to. It's not as easy to come by. So I'm stuck buying VP 110 at $107 a can.
Yeah. Well, I remember, like that purple fuel I was getting, I think I was paying like $3.25 a gallon for it. Something like that. And they had, higher octane, but I think mine was like 102, either 102 or 103. So, but I was mixing that with some super unleaded in the car. That actually made the car run pretty good. Considering the fact that it was a totally stock 383 Charger, 2-barrel. So,
that was a 9-to-1 engine if you were lucky. So it actually liked that fuel.
Yep, it did.
Yeah,
it actually liked it. Yeah, it liked it better than straight super unleaded. And I think it's
the higher octane slows the burn.
Right. And it's like, Yeah, that definitely made that engine come alive. So John, I guess if we can get Tom here up to the 500 mark, he gets that Model T out there on the track, he's gonna set a blistering speed going down.
I would love to see a Model T just drive down the drag strip. I think that would be really cool.
And
That would be something.
And I
Well,
really
it'll
hope
drive down the track to
does.
be in the picture. That's it.
But here's the thing. What's so freaking cool about that is this car has seen so much American history. It's amazing.
Yep.
That car could never have imagined in 1916 a purpose-built track like that with electronic timers and cars that literally run in the fives go down that track, and here it is driving down that same. It's just so neat to me.
And when it does, I hope somebody's got a drone overhead getting footage.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, we're gonna have our group photo. Group photo will be at 9:00 in the morning on Friday.
Now my
I'm talking about a drone getting the car actually going down the track.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Well,
my question, John,
It can't be over the track. It has to be off to the side. Has to be off to the side.
Right.
Yeah,
but
over the
my
track is not
question
cool.
is, okay, if we can get Tom to that 500 mark where he can be a participant instead of a spectator, who would you pair him up against to race?
It would take the clock's time out at 22 seconds. The monkey bikes, they hit a top speed of about 40, but they get to 40 really quick.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not for sure the T would get there to even turn on an ET. But the bigger thing is I wouldn't want him to hurt it. I wouldn't want Tom to do anything with his car he doesn't want to do. I just think it would be really neat to see a Model T. As much history as that, because that Model Ts are still writing history today, right?
Oh yeah.
Like for instance, you could see a guy going down the road in a Model T with a cell phone, something you could never imagine when those cars were new. And so there's still new history being written. And to see one on the track, I've never seen that in my life, and that would be a first and just be incredibly cool to me.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't matter if it went 5 miles an hour.
No, who cares? Yeah, who
Just the
cares?
fact that it did it, that's
To do
cool.
it, to do it itself
Just to see it go.
Right.
Hey, John.
No one cares
And-
what they did when they planted the flag on the moon. Just the fact that they did.
In 21, back in 21, on the local Model T tour I was on in upstate New York, all the Model Ts on that tour drove around a circle track.
Cool.
Just one lap around and then out. So
Neat.
it was just their local little track that they had up there.
Exactly. That to me is so cool.
Yeah. I like
But there was
what
nobody
one
there
I
to see it.
Oh.
There was nobody there to see it. Just the guys driving the cars around and the people who got to wave them in and wave them out.
Man,
So
to
yeah,
get a
those people got
video
to see
like
the site.
to get a video like that, you'd be at 1,000 subs in about 10 seconds.
Be neat.
That would be
I
real
just
neat.
think that's cool. I love the diversity of cars and people that we have at the No Name Nationals. It's just the coolest. I love it. I love it.
Right. And, like for me, I don't know if you've seen the video. I actually went out to my local airport where they have the local, it's a commemorative Air Force Act. And they were having a big air show and everything out there. And they also had a car show. Man, there were some nice cars out there. And I mean, we're talking, from back in the 30s and 40s. I mean, of course, they had to have some of the World War II Jeeps and everything. You see those all over out there. But even, the 60s and 70s, they have those. I like going to those and seeing those vehicles. And for me, I remember now I grew up in Houston. and we had a science fair one time, and it's like, okay, what do you want to do? And mind you, you would not expect someone being in elementary school going, I want to build 2 model cars. And one of them I actually built was a Model T. And I think the other one was like a 70, I want to say like a 74 Trans Am. And it's like, they were asking me, what's the difference? To show the technology difference between the Model T and this Pontiac, as far as how far we've come technology wise between engines and the way the car is totally changed. And that's the thing, about with that Model T is back then that was basically to catch me out as far as when it came to cars.
Yeah, it was better riding a horse.
Yep.
Right.
A horse or a buggy, yeah. And
Well, the buggy you could stay dry.
right. It depends upon if it had the cover on it or not. But now I do know that what's really weird, and somewhere here in the United States, believe it or not, it's still on the books that if you're in a motorized vehicle, you have to have someone at least 100 feet out in front of you carrying a red lantern. That way, at nighttime, that way you don't scare the horses. Because when motorized vehicles came around, not everybody had one. Everybody was either riding a horse or in a little buggy. And all of a sudden you got all these motorized vehicles that were going real fast, 10 miles an hour. That was fast for them. And it's like it would scare the horses. But believe it or not, I don't remember exactly where, but it's still on the books. You have to have someone out in front carrying a red lantern to warn the horses.
I passed a horse and buggy just Saturday. When I was coming home from a wedding, we were going one way and it was coming back the other way, which that's what you get when you're in Amish country in Ohio.
That's cool.
They were going Saturday night date night. That's what they call it. You always see the horse and buggy, a guy and his girlfriend. They go out. It's always Saturday night. That's when the Amish people do it.
Right. All right. Crystal just got to putting the link out there for the air show. Thank you, sweetie. I didn't get a video of all the cars.
Turbo Tom, what are you planning on coming down? What's your commute like to come to Sykeston?
Last year it was 9 hours. So I left Thursday morning, got there Thursday afternoon. I hung out with Travis.
Yeah.
We went to the Lamberts.
Yeah.
Had set a table with Jeff, his dad, his son, a couple other guys. I really can't remember who they were, but we filled the booth. We filled that big table.
Well, it was funny because when I was in line there, the server or the person at the podium asked us, how many are in your party? And I looked at the line behind me that went out the door and out the building. And I said, well, this is all the same party. So you can just take however many to a table you want because, that's what they did. So yeah. I was at a table with my mom and Jay and Jason from Rapid Transit Garage. That was our table. So it works. We just randomly do that again. It'd be just fine with me.
Yeah, I know we had 10 of us in that table.
Yeah, sure. It's great.
I like what Dean was saying. Can we race a Model T against an Amish buggy?
If the owner of the Model T and the owner of the Amish buggy, I don't care. That'd be fine. I wouldn't care.
The buggy might leave some droppings along the way.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. If the horse took a dump on the track.
If we had a participant, had the subs, had a horse, wants to make sure the horse is well taken care of at the event, then yeah, I wouldn't care. Yeah.
That would be something.
I'd want to make sure that the horse is taken care of right, and that the track surface wouldn't bother their hooves or anything. I mean, but I would do that. That'd be fine. I obviously could only race, like another horse or something. You couldn't have a horse on a track with cars, Yeah, you might.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. T maybe, but I don't know.
I don't think the horse would like venom much.
No, I would entertain most anything that's safe and reasonable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to have a monkey bike and a 5-second car negotiating lengths on the track. That's unsafe, But something that's safe and reasonable, sure.
Oh yeah. And the whole thing about it is it's entertainment. You're trying to make it where it's fun and enjoyable for everybody. I mean, it's like you're going to be having Smokey and the Bandit getting played.
Yeah. Just fun.
I mean,
just fun
yeah.
stuff.
Sally Field.
And what was it? About a 45-foot screen?
Yeah. It's 45 feet wide. 30 to 17 diagonal on the view area alone. It's a serious screen. It's made for crowds bigger than what we're going to have, but
Right.
we're YouTubers. We like to do stuff big and fun and exciting. So
Go big or go home.
I think it's going to be neat when people can see that screen from I-55 and say, what's going on at that track? I've never seen that before.
That's going to draw attention.
People keep saying drive in, but here's the thing. It's probably just going to work better. Bring your lawn chairs over and just hang out because we're going to be on the grass of the spectator's side. I'm really hoping people won't be messing. That's the thing. People messing around with their cars and starting them up and all this, that'll ruin the movie, people doing all that. So I'm hoping that people will just bring their lawn chairs and blankets and whatever and got a great spot for it.
I think this community's got enough respect.
Yeah,
not
I think
to
so
do
too.
that.
I think so too. Got to remember, when somebody starts a Prius in the middle of a drive-in movie, no one knows, right?
Nope.
If Tony started up his truck in the middle of that movie, everyone would know, including the neighborhood behind the track.
Right.
See the difference?
Right. Yeah. And the thing about it is, if Tony was to start up his truck during the middle of the movie, I can guarantee everybody would be going over and going,
yeah.
What are you doing, you idiot?
I want the movie to go over well, because if it does, we got all kinds of, we can do it again.
Right.
I mean,
Hey, John, last year, Sykeston had something going on downtown at the same time. Are they doing that again this year?
I have no idea. I don't even know what was going on downtown. I know that the NHRA Nationals in St. Louis were going on at the same time. It didn't hurt our turnout at all.
How big was the turnout last year?
Yeah, I don't even know exactly. I know that we had, I think we had 106 cars teched competing. We had more cars than that. We probably had 200 channels because, for instance, like just an example, 2X Jeff, that's a participating channel. Barrows didn't come with a car. Travis. So we had more channels there than cars. So we probably had 200 channels. And then, all the gate and all that, I don't know off the top of my head. It was a healthy gate. It was better than their normal gate.
Right. And, that's something, you were talking about earlier. You've got the registration fee. And that's something I was going to comment on is that, I can understand doing that for some of the fact is, like you said, the track is not free. Getting the EMSs out there, that costs money.
It costs more than ever because since COVID, the hourly rate for EMTs has gone really high. And there's a difference between EMS and EMT. If you're doing this properly, you should have 2 EMTs, not EMS, 2 EMTs in an ambulance anytime you have the track hot or burnout pit hot. So we're going to have that. And it's not cheap. That stuff is, I did better on the light plants this year. Found a great place to work with for those. One big thing that's nice just at Jeffers in general is you're trying to make relationships with all these different vendors and stuff that it takes to make it happen.
Right.
I mean, like I deal with Tyler at Roadrunner Services, Mike at Mike's Rentals. You know, these different vendors. Kevin that delivers sand for the sand trap. I mean, we work with all these people, and it helps when you have a rapport with the vendors you need to help make this stuff happen.
Right. Now, my question, something that someone had mentioned a while back, and I didn't know if it's true or not. So say you're at a racing event and they've only got one ambulance out there.
Mhm.
And say there's an emergency or something where bad wreck and everything where they got to get rushed to the hospital. Someone had mentioned that if that ambulance leaves, they have to shut all the racing down. Is that true?
Well, we're not going to be racing without the ambulance there. But that said, it all depends on where they're going. You have a hospital that's right there in town, right?
Okay.
And plus, too, if you have a big wreck, you're going to have cleanup and stuff anyway. Not to mention that our concern is more with who was in the wreck than getting the track hot again. So it's nothing I'm worried about by any means.
Right.
But I think that, if you get things cleaned up, a person's not hurt badly or something, and it's feasible to be running again, I don't think it will be hard to make that happen. But it's
Okay.
just, it all depends on the situation. I don't want to find that out.
Right.
I'm hoping that we have as good a safety record as last year, because last year was outstanding. I don't think anything bigger than a Band-Aid was needed for last year.
Yeah, you have a wreck big enough to require the ambulance, you're going to have more cleanup time than it's going to take for the ambulance to get you back.
I don't think that's, really a big concern. The bigger concern is we'll make sure our friends are okay. That's my big concern.
And that, like I said, I don't want to see, anything like that happen because, like for me, when I go out to a track, I want, yes, it's a dirt track. You like watching the wrecks and everything because that's kind of fun, but you also want to watch when the person, gets out, waves to you and walks away. It might do some damage, but that, that's kind of the fun thing.
Well, Auto Salvage Outlaws mentioned something that's really cool too. Not only are we going to have, 2 EMTs working the event, we also have, Buff's Garage, First Responder Garage, their EMTs. Dom and Lynn, who work at the track, their certs are expired, but they also have EMTs training. They were EMTs. For whatever it may be worth, I have trauma training. I carry a tourniquet in my pocket all the time, every day, right? And gloves, and an MPA, and gauze. So I can't imagine there being a scenario that I would need to do any trauma treatment, but I'm just saying we have more than just, there's depth on the bench when it comes to taking care of trauma at the event, if needed.
Oh, yeah. Right. I mean, and that's the best thing to do is safety, and it's kind of like Friday, like what Blake was talking about, dealing with the NOS and everything. You look at racing from not only drag racing, but any type over the years, you've had fatalities come about. And I mean, you can't stop it. Okay. There's no way you're going to be able to stop that. I mean, even going back to the chariot racing in Rome. Okay. You had accidents back then, and those were horse drawn. Okay. But the fact is that you realize that something has happened. What can we do to prevent this? And for me, like I said, no, I don't drag race. I have drag raced in the past. I've also dirt track raced. Because when I was racing, the only thing safety equipment wise, the helmet and a 6-point seat belt. I was not required to have a fire suit, gloves, or anything. Basically, I got in that car with my jeans, t-shirt, boots, no gloves, just put the helmet on and put the seatbelt on. And yes, I did have a fire extinguisher. That was about the only other safety equipment that was required. Now, if you go out to the track, oh no, you got to have a complete fire suit, the boots, the gloves, the mask. You're even required to have the Hans device. You got to have a window net in on the driver's side. If you got a passenger, you got to have a window net on their side. You got to have so many bars in front of the driver for protection. It's everything, has, come about because of accidents and things that, gone on in the past. Good example, look at Le Mans. I think it was Le Mans. Isn't that the one where they had that big wreck where so many people were killed because of that one wreck? They were running the magnesium wheels and that magnesium went all over.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I mean, everybody likes mag wheels. Well, magnesium will burn hot and fast, and it's because it can generate its own oxygen. You don't see that today in racing.
Well, there's always going to be a balance between, risk and reward. And I can tell you, I mean, the closest you're going to get to just being guaranteed safety is just stay in your house and lock the doors and never go anywhere and never do anything. Right.
Right.
It's more dangerous to make the drive to Sykeston on the interstate than it is to race at the track. So,
Right.
Yeah, we want to do our best. We want our cars to go through tech. We want people to meet some really reasonable, safety things like wearing a helmet and this sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't take all the risk out of everything. There's risk in absolutely everything you do. The question is, do you manage it well?
Right. And so that's something I was, I don't know if it's ever been touched on or not, is what are the safety requirements for the different classes? Because I know, like you said, a helmet, okay, is that required for all classes or is it just for certain ones?
Everything that goes down the track or in the burnout contest has to have a helmet. That said, if you're 765 ET or slower or burnout competition, you can use a DOT helmet like this one back here. And there's loaners for those. I mean, it's not, DOT helmets, only a few people that have loaners. Don't count on it, though. It's good to have your own, but you can get those dirt cheap, right? If your car runs 764 or quicker, you need to have a Snell 2015 or newer race helmet. But if your car's going 764 or quicker, you spend enough on the car to make it fast enough. You should spend enough to protect your brain with a helmet like that. That's
Oh, yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
Right.
It's like I said on the live with Deke. If you have a $20,000 engine to make your car quick enough to need a roll cage, you can afford a roll cage. Right. So our safety requirements aren't out of line for what people spend on the cars to get them there.
Right.
Now, what about like fire suits or is there a certain?
I have a cheat sheet from Deke right here. I could look up and go line by line, but basically it depends on what your car runs. All of it depends on what your car runs.
Right.
Like I'll just give you a few examples. If you have a door car, you need to have a roll bar at 735 or quicker. Most people overestimate the roll bar. They overestimate what their car's going to run. 735 is a hoss of a car. Okay. For example, jacket 735 and quicker, gloves 639 or quicker, flex plate shield 639 or quicker. When you get into sixes, especially the low sixes, are when you really start having some tough tech requirements.
So when you're getting fast.
All right, right. I mean, a car that runs a if you're running a 690, you're going 100 miles an hour in the eighth.
Right.
So
The 690 is a 10-second car and a quarter.
right, exactly.
Now, what about
I actually think a 7 flat's like a 1095.
Yeah, something like that.
now? I know you're required for a drive shaft loop and everything.
If you're running slicks.
A drive
If you have a
shaft loop
drive
is a
shaft,
good idea
if you
for
have
anything.
one.
Right.
It's a good idea for anything. And most of the slower cars are the ones that are puking out drive shafts because usually they don't have the big 1350 joints and so forth. But if you're running slicks or drag radials, you need to have a drive shaft loop.
Now, what are the specifications as far as how it's supposed to be mounted and everything?
You need to be, I believe, within 6 inches of the center of the front U-joint.
That's what my freaking drive shaft costs.
And I want to say there's specs on the loop too. It needs to be something reasonable. It can be tubular or flat bar, but it's
quarter inch thick.
Yeah.
Quarter by 2, I believe. Quarter inch thick by 2 inch flat strap, I believe, is the specs on the loop. You can buy them from Jegs for $26.
Yeah.
Or Summit. Summit's got them also.
Yeah.
People usually, most of the people who worry about these tech items like this don't have a vehicle quick enough to need them. Usually, that's been our experience. Like most of the guy, he's so worried about a cage, and his car runs a 9 flat. Well, I mean, that's about what a new Mustang runs. If you have like a Coyote Mustang or something, that's all they're running. People worry too much about that kind of stuff. They have grander ideas of what they're going to run than they actually do.
Right. And
so Andy Wood's truck is 4,200 pounds. He's done a best with that engine, a 689. That's 708 horsepower with 430 gears and drag radials. Now I know it's a heavy truck, but I'm saying people worried about getting down in the sixes and needing this stuff. It really takes something to get down in the sixes and need this stuff.
Right. And one thing someone told me years ago is that there's 2 things that will allow you to be able to win a race: reaction time and your numbers. So in bracket racing, if you can cut the tree, get a perfect, tree and everything, and you run your dial in, chances are you're going to win the race.
Well, okay, so I will say this. It doesn't cost anything extra to enter the bracket. Okay?
Right.
You can just go make passes, and who knows, you might win a round or two.
Yeah,
we have guys that have a lot of bracket experience. Obviously, just Mopar Joe, 318 wheel run, Jure Racing. There's a lot of guys in the community. Andy Wood, a lot of them have done a lot of bracket racing, and they are more heavily favored to win because of that. But that said, anybody can get out there and just do it. I think people worry a little too much about the competitive side of it, and they worry too much about the tree and all this. And what I would tell people is if you haven't bracket raced, just go out there and have fun. Just go out, stage. Who cares if your lights can be measured on a calendar or sundial? Who cares? Just go out there, take your time, and just stage and then drive down the track. And after you do it a few times, you'll get better and better. And then you can worry about reaction time and stuff like that. But people get too worried about the competition side of it and not just getting out there and doing it. Every single person at the No Name Nationals, there's no reason not to be in the bracket race. No reason at all. We could have 100 cars in that bracket race. What are the odds that some of those people will win? Next to zero. You drag a car out of the woods and you've never driven it before and you've never bracket raced, are you probably going to win? Probably not. But you can still have a blast just going out there, going through the process. And you never know. You could have a freak thing happen and win a round or two. Why not?
And further that statement, just talking to your buddies on the street, who would have thought that a Barracuda with a 408 stroker in it almost got took out by a nearly stock 1977 B100 van?
I'm telling you, but see, yeah, Tim was running 1117 in that van,
Yeah.
which is pretty slow, right?
I'm gonna go
He's a
get
good
the-
bracket racer.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go.
Exactly. My point exactly. You don't.
He
have
was
to have-
literally, I think he was literally close to half track before Joe left when they were in the finals.
right.
I mean, but it's just fun. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
It's
Internet.
that's the whole point. It's supposed to be fun. Some people take this stuff way too seriously. It's like I've shot, a fair number of pistol matches. And there were a few guys who would show up that if they shot the first, second stage and they didn't have a good time, good number, good score on it, they would just leave. And they never seemed to enjoy shooting the matches. I'm like, why are you doing it?
Right.
It's just like they're so competitive. If they don't have a chance to win, they'll leave. And I'm like, I was never that way. I just had fun. And if I messed up my first stage or second stage, because there's like 6 stages usually or 8 stages in a match. If it was a disaster, so what? I shoot the other ones. I try new things, try different ways of shooting them, and just having fun. I mean, but some people can't do that. But fortunately, it seems like we virtually have no one like that at the No Name Nationals when it comes to competition.
I was just going to say that those people
Yeah.
don't really exist in our world.
No, that's the point. I would rather have the people who care about the community and have a great time and want to be there for each other. I would always rather have that than have people who are there all about the cars. That always tends to be more problematic people.
Well, take Daniel, for instance, with Venom. That is a very fast, very competitive car. And he was probably one of the most humble guys there.
Daniel came, had a good time,
Fun to
riding
hang
around
out
the dog
with.
cart.
Yeah. Yeah, and so many people that have cars like his are stuck up snobs, and that ain't him.
But that's the thing. I want to keep those people out.
Right.
I've had people say, well, you want to keep people out. Well, that's sub requirement. No, not at all. I want to keep the people out who try to weaponize that against me out.
Right. You want to keep the butt.
I want to keep the bad attitude people out. That's really, I do. I could not care less about someone's 8250 if they come bringing a truckload of bad attitude to the event. That's what we don't want there at all.
Unless it's an LS powered C10.
Yeah. Just the channel name.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess
that's one thing Blake is he does not have a bad attitude.
No, that's the thing. I mean, it was so great last year. We need that kind of mix of people there again. That's what we need.
just as long as LSO don't show up with that parrot with gas. His little Thunderbird.
Yeah.
But no, something I wanted to show and everything was this right here. I'm gonna make myself big. This is something that I got probably about 20 years ago.
Stock muscle winner.
Yep. And as you can tell, Texas Muscle Car Club Challenge Series.
25.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I don't remember. Like I said, it's been about 20 years. But now the weird thing about it is this right here, this is proof you do not need to have the fastest car out there in order to win. And yes, we were all bracket racing. Okay, that's how it was set up. I actually had the slowest vehicle out of everybody. Okay. Stock muscle class was 16 and slower. Okay. And, yeah, that's pretty slow and everything. And that's for, quarter mile. I think it was, I think 12 seconds and slower, 8th mile. I don't remember exactly what it was for 8th mile. But like I said, it was, 16 and slower on quarter. But the thing about it is you'll never believe, and you'll get a kick out of it. As far, like I said, I had literally the slowest vehicle. Nobody was slower than me out there on the track. I'm running a 1993 Dodge 1-ton dually club cab with the 5.9 turbo, Cummins diesel, automatic. How
I
fast
hate
do you think
diesels.
running in the quarter mile?
I don't know. I have no. I don't have a sense of that. I mean, I just don't.
Believe it or not, that thing would run. It would take 20 seconds to do the quarter mile at about 60, almost 65 miles an hour.
You know what was so much fun to me? I went to a fun Ford weekend at Bristol back when it was old Bristol Dragway in the mid '90s. So it was some buddies of mine, and they had a bracket race there. And the most fun of the event was there was a guy with a Festiva there, all right? And I want to say he ran around 19, 20 seconds, maybe even more in the quarter mile, 21 seconds, something like that. But he was consistent, and he went rounds. And I remember he came up against a Mustang that ran mid-8s. So the Festiva leaves. And everybody's talking and watching the Festivas going down there and going down there and going down. And he looks like he's at the stripe before the Mustang goes. Mustang red lit. He couldn't keep his composure waiting on that car that long, right? They had to wait 12 seconds on this car. But we watched this Festiva go round after round. The crowd was really getting into it. They wanted the Festiva to win it all. And I think he made it. He didn't go to the final. I think he came up around short of the final. It was great. It was so exciting.
Funny.
Who would have thought the most exciting thing there was that? But it was. So it really isn't about Ultimate ET or any of that stuff.
Right.
It's about the people and the stories behind the cars, and somebody overachieves, and that's what it's really all about, is the story of the race.
Now, we did have one class. It was the big dog race. Okay, it was Race of Champions. Okay, and what they would do is you would have 2 drivers from your car club go out there and try and qualify, and they would have the different rounds. And the way it worked is they would take the winner and runner up at each race, because we did like 8 races a year. Okay. So at the end of the year, they would take all the winners and all the runner up, and they'd put them in what they call the big dog race. And it was still bracket and everything. I was out at Hallsville one night, and that was a town probably maybe 100, 150 miles east of here. A nice quarter mile. And I'm up there for the Race of Champions. And they pair me up against a guy in a Corvette. I don't remember what year, but I mean, that thing was fast. I mean, I think he was like low 11s or upper 11s, low 12s. Okay. So they got me up against him. I dialed the truck in at 20. I cut, I had like a 004 light. I mean, I was getting to where I almost had a perfect reaction time. I'm going down the track and I'm looking in the rear view mirror. At the same time, I'm looking at the finish line coming up, and it's like he barely is getting to half track when I'm going across the finish line, and I was on the brakes because I didn't want to break out. Okay.
Mhm.
Pulled around, got my time slip. I think I ran a 22. I think he ran a 24, 25, something like that. I found the guy later. I said, "What happened?" He goes, "I do not ever want to race you again." I go, "Why?" He goes, "I got a 6-speed Corvette. I went first, second, fifth. He missed third gear." And he said, when that happened, the car went, just nosedive.
So it has to do with racing you, or the fact that he doesn't know how to shift his car.
Probably,
I mean,
probably both. Yeah, probably both.
I got to tell you that you know what? I got a sign here that's a quote from my friend Joe that says, "Excuses are the tools of incompetence."
That's the best one ever.
I would never let that guy sit there and complain that he doesn't know how to shift his car and blame me. I don't think I could just let that one go. I'm like, well, hey man, you can price, a TH400 conversion if you need to.
Yeah. But like I said, after that night and everything, hell, a lot of the guys that would run, the upper 11s, low 12s, they didn't want to have to come up against me because I'm sitting there going down the track, like you said, like that little Festiva. And yes, there were times when all of a sudden I'm going down the track and my wind light comes on because they say they had premature acceleration.
Yeah.
It's like they're seeing you going down the track. It's like, I want to go. Oh, crap. Never mind. But that's also the fun and excitement for racing also.
Sure.
I mean, I like I said, I do wish I could go, but like I said, unfortunately, funds are not there. And matter of fact, I got to make a phone call tomorrow just to see what happened on my interview and everything with Harbor Freight I had last week.
Cool.
Well, I
Fingers
wish I could
crossed for you, man.
take one of my boss's cars to it. My boss has some nice cars, and they're on my videos.
Hey,
So he has a '69 Roadrunner, which everybody wants.
Who wouldn't?
yeah,
Right.
you can do
And
that.
he,
I mean, it's up to
yeah.
him. It's up to him to let you.
I don't think he will, even though I have to work on them all, including his what has he got? Ferrari. I had to work on. Had to pull the transmission out, rebuild that, and the back of the engine.
Well, that had to be fun.
Then had to do it again because he overfilled it with oil.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Yeah, Ferraris, you check the oil level while it's running.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
I didn't know that.
If you try to check it with it not running, you'll have nothing on the stick. You fill it up where it is on the stick, got way too much oil in it.
Huh. Interesting.
That's where they say, read your owner's manual.
That's the thing, like for me, when I was twisting wrenches for a living, is, if you want to know what your engine oil is supposed to be, look at look at your owner's manual. There's going to be a section in there that's going to tell you what oil, what antifreeze you're supposed to use, what transmission fluid, and everything. It's going to give you all that information. Like one person said that back in the day, you get the owner's manual and everything for a car, it would tell you how to adjust your valves. Now it tells you not to drink the battery fluid.
Chrysler say don't touch the transmission at all.
Yeah.
All the new ones, don't touch them. They don't want you putting
Well-
any fluid in it. They don't want you messing with it.
I know a guy who's a Mercedes tech, and they don't even have a engine oil level that's user checkable now on those cars. They take something like 13 quarts of oil, and it has a warning light, and when it goes into the dealer is when the oil gets checked.
That's insane.
Cars don't
Like
come
a-
with spare tires like they used to because people don't know how to change them.
And I was going to say now I've got an 09 Dodge Caliber. It's got that CVT transmission.
Ugh.
I've got a dipstick, for checking the engine oil. But believe it or not, there's no dipstick for checking the transmission fluid level.
I didn't know Dodge used a CVT.
Unfortunately, they did.
Yeah.
Gross.
But no more.
Gross.
No more.
Hey,
Hey, they tried a dual dry clutch one too, and it didn't work either.
but now, hey, I do like that car because some of the fact is going down the road, I don't feel the transmission actually shifting gears. I like that.
Dang.
I mean, it's a nice economical driving car. I mean, I've got 151,000 miles on it already. And
But that transmission does have a planetary gear set in it, or you couldn't go in
Does-
reverse if you didn't.
Right.
right. But now
And
the only
It does
thing
have a
is,
high gear too, because
Right.
you had that planetary gear set.
now for mine, I was driving it, and this is shortly after I got it, and all of a sudden I got the temperature light coming on the dash, and it was kind of wanting to go into lit mode. I pull off, let it sit for about 15, 20 minutes, start it up, it drive fine. Come to find out that no one had ever done a transmission service on it. We all know there's a filter in your automatic, down inside the pan. This one, it actually has a transmission cooler with its own little filter.
In line.
It's
Hey.
it's actually inside. I mean, it's about that damn big around, and only about this damn tall, cartridge style filter. And no one had ever.
The cooler.
Yeah, but it goes inside of a cooler.
Hey,
A
first
part of-
responder, it's not that no one thinks to do that. It's just, why in the world can't they just make that simple? I mean, we
Put a
could also
flipping
take a
dipstick
drill
on it.
bit and drill in there and put a sight plug in. There's all kinds of things you could do. It's
Oh,
just that it really ought to be simple for your end user to do it. And that's why nobody does. Nobody keeps it's like a Chevy Cavalier. I mean, there is a process for checking your oil level on those things, those old ones, but it's
Oh, yeah.
miserable. And there's no reason, there's no sense in it. They could have just put a dipstick on it.
What's really weird is a lot of people, back when I was twisting wrenches, a lot of people, you thought, oh, I've hit, the time for me getting the oil and filter changed on my car. They would do that. I would get cars every now and then that had 70, 80,000 miles on it, coming for an oil change. And the service writer would go, have you done a transmission service on it also? And they were going, a what? Transmission service. They go, no, never been told about that. Owner's manual would say every 25, 30,000 miles, change the filter, change the oil in the transmission. Believe it or not, it even says around, I think, between 70 and 80,000 miles, change your differential oil. A lot of people don't even know that.
And now they say don't do anything until it's out of warranty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a differential, especially if you've got a clutch type sure grip or a posit traction, because they shed material.
Yep. And and that material is getting down inside that oil, it's contaminating it, or it
Well,
can't.
it ends up in the bearings and you end up with wear.
Right. That's why it's like, drain it out and replace it. That way you got something good and fresh in there.
Yeah, Colleen says it's simple to turn your high beams on and off. Guess how many people I ran into working at O'Reilly's that didn't know that? Yeah, just ask every idiot around here that likes to drive with them on all the time, and they won't turn them off to save their ass.
Speaking of idiots and O'Reilly's, it's been probably, I don't know, a few months ago. I was leaving O'Reilly's parking lot. This guy's turning in. He's turning right into the parking lot to Dodge. I don't know. It was about a 10, 15, 20-year-old Ram. And when he turns, the grill flies out of the truck and goes right in front of me in the road. The grill just flies out. I guess just nothing was holding it in. But I stopped, and I was going to get out of the car and pick the grill up and take it to him. But he came running over to get it. You see all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't have enough duct tape on it.
Something. Well, hey guys, I got to bounce. I got a customer dropping a car off, so.
All right. Well, actually, it's already 9 o'clock for me, and this is my normal time. I shut things down. But hey, I appreciate, everybody that's come in tonight. This has been something that's been different. John, I appreciate you coming in to, like I said, I would love to be able to go to No Name, but the only way I'm going to be able to help out is by giving support and trying to help out, like trying to get Tom, his, subscribers and everybody else. That's why the ones that, I looked on the list, that's why I put them all in the description and put their channel links up there. That way everybody can go check out those channels and say, hey, I'm not subscribed to them.
Yep.
Here, let me subscribe. Let me do my part.
Well,
thanks. Dogs are raising hell. I got to bounce. It's good seeing you, Tom, John.
Yep.
Check out Turbo Tom. Get him some subs.
Yep. Indeed.
Right. Catch you later.
I'll be there anyway.
That's right.
I'll have my sign out there at the car show. We'll get him there at the restaurant.
That'll be great. It'll be fun.
And what really really gets me is I can't go, and I've been wanting to go to that restaurant with the thrown rolls ever since I heard about it. I seen that on, I think, Travel Channel or something years ago, and they said, yeah, you go to this restaurant where they sit there and they will sit there and throw the rolls over at you. I'm going, damn, I'm going to miss it.
Well, I mean, got to make a goal of it, and you can add really, really roughly 365 to that 24. You'll probably have a number there.
Well, like I said, I had to get
I don't know yet.
Right. Well, like I said, I had, some serious health issues where I was in and out of the hospital 6 different times. Losing my job because of it back in, October.
I hate that for you, man. That's tough.
Yeah, and I was there for almost 9 years, and everything. Like I said, got my bill of health basically to go back to work, get me a job. I had a 17 Ram pickup I was buying. That's gone. I had a 2012 Harley Tri-Glide that was over halfway paid off. It's gone because not having the money to pay for it. Got tons of bills, and it's like can't afford to pay them.
This, you know what? This will be your year to rebound, though. It'll be even sweeter when you come back from it and make it happen.
Right. That's why, for me, since I've got my health and everything back in order, my first priority is getting a job so I can start getting some bills and everything. I do have my 97 Dodge truck still, so I guess I'll be concentrating on getting that fixed and everything. And then once I get that done, like I said, the goal would be to make it for No Name 2024.
Cool.
Now, that's something else I was going to ask you. the rumor was going around the track was sold. Is that true?
The track has been for sale. I mean, Larry Jeffers is entertaining offers. It hasn't sold, but I will tell you this. We have a lease agreement and we're on the schedule and have standing there. Even if somebody bought the track, our event would come with it when they bought it. Our deal would survive closing of the real estate transaction in the business on the track.
Okay.
So let's just say hypothetically, and I'm just making something, but let's say that somebody were to come along in February or March and were to buy Jeffers, right? And close on it. And we had a date on the calendar and contract and commitment, they would still honor that because that's a traditional thing with any real estate sale.
Right.
Like leases, like residential. If you sell your house and you have a lease on your house, the new owner has to honor the term of the lease. And this is common with businesses, and the track is no exception. It's the same way.
Right.
So this is why we try to have everything in order and announce it on New Year's Eve to make sure we know where we're going and all of that stuff. And
right. Like I said, that's something I forgot to ask you because, like I said, I heard that, the track had been sold, that this was going to be the last year there, that y'all were going to have to try and find another place for next year.
Not necessarily. I mean, there's nothing that says that Jeffers is off the table for next year. There's also nothing that guarantees we're going back there next year.
Okay.
I don't want people to just make assumptions on these things. I will tell you this. The people who own and run Jeffers have been very welcoming. We don't have any problems. They're very happy with how we left the place clean, no damage. They did very well in their concessions because we had a lot of people there eating a lot of food. Everything was great. Everything's been fine this year. There's nothing that says we can't go back, and there's nothing that guarantees we will. It's not like there's any track we couldn't go to. It's just, a matter of Jeffers there's a lot of good reasons to go there. They have so much going for them.
Right. Okay.
It just makes sense to go there.
Okay. I was just curious, like I said, I know that was something that I was wanting to ask and everything. That way, get it straight from you. That way everybody would know about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can tell you this, there's volumes of stuff I don't know, but when it comes to this, I can tell you, and it's right. Maybe that's the only thing I do know is like why we go to Jeffers and that kind of thing. But there's other possibilities out there. I've looked at some other tracks. I mean, it's not just the racing surface. It's not just geographically where it is. There's a lot of things that need to be in place for this event to work at a track.
Right.
Jeffers has shower facilities. Jeffers has a town there, so you can get the other things you need. Jeffers has a good area for the burnout competition. Jeffers has good timing systems, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of things you need. Are there things I wish Jeffers had? Certainly. I got a wish list of things I wish the track had. If I lived, within a couple hours of that track, I'd probably have arranged to have bought it by now, but I don't.
John,
I live in Virginia.
John, right. I was going to say, I don't think that a topless bar at a drag strip is going to work.
I wouldn't do that anyway. My event's family friendly, and I don't want anything to do with any of that there.
I know. I'm just messing with you on that. But yeah, like I said, that would be my goal is, like I said, get a job that way and start getting the income, being brought back in. That way, get caught up on some things around here, be able to buy the stuff I need.
Sure.
I could get my truck up and going again. Maybe I might be able to actually get started again on the Predator 670 mini top fuel dragster.
That would be neat. That would be really neat.
And mind you, I mean, I've got a blower for it. It's actually going to have a twin root style blower that I've got. And I'd like to be able to run it on nitromethanol.
Yeah.
Get a fully blown Predator 670 V twin.
you got to talk to people who have experience tuning with nitromethane. It's a whole different animal, but it's cool. I think it's neat. Go for it, man.
Right. Luckily for me, there's a shop that's over in Arlington that they know quite a bit. And you may or may not have ever heard of Rear in Morrison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they got their shop about an hour or so from me.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I may be able to talk to them. That's a plan. Talk to them, see what they have to say.
Cool.
I mean, why not talk to the people that deal with this stuff on a daily basis?
David Rare's been moving into like the tractor pulling and stuff like that, doing more of that since they're not fielding the pro stock team anymore.
Right.
But, that's a neat operation, and he used to publish the tech articles for National Dragster years ago. So Warren Johnson was doing it, and then he retired from doing it, and David Rear had it for a real long time, and he retired from doing. I don't know who's doing it now, but I remember when I was in college, I was reading his tech articles, National Dragster. Just cool stuff. I'd really like to have him on my Friday night show sometime. I just have never, crossed paths with him to ask, but I think he'd be a good guest.
All right. All right. Well, like I said, I need to get this done because I gotta get trash and everything ready to be put out tonight because that's tomorrow morning. But Tom, I hope that between now and No Name, you'll hit that 500 mark and everything. That's the main reason why, like I said, I decided I wanted to do this to try and help the guys out that are close and everything. And also to get John up here. That way, he can let everybody know about what's going on that might have been missed somewhere else. Because, like I said, there's probably questions I probably asked him that someone else might not have even thought about asking.
Well, I appreciate the invite. Thanks for having me on, Mater.
I appreciate both of y'all. Yep, I appreciate both of y'all coming in. And I appreciate everybody that's come in for the chat tonight. Like I said, it's been different tonight. This is not my normal Monday, Wednesday live stream for sure. So, all right. Well, I appreciate everybody that's come in. So, everybody, y'all have a good one. Stay safe. God bless and good night.